TOP 这支战队的话，其实跟我们 SNG 有点相似，他们都是以中上野为核心去打的。我感觉他们的中上野这赛季发挥的都挺好的。
TOP 现在是一支很强的队伍嘛，然后我们打常规赛的时候也输给他们了，希望季后赛可以就是战胜他们吧。
Welcome back, and I feel a little bit more myself now. I know that you guys are still picking out stuff.
One thing, I'm a better AD carry, jungler, top laner, support than Rusty and Frost.
He's free. He's elite.
I am the best.
Playing with all of you, I have my doubts, but
I'm better.
We'll talk about that later.
I'm better than you.
All right, well, we're good. I know it's like glitter. You'll find it for like through your clothes for the next like 24 days.
Oh,
all right.
damn.
Anyways, don't mess up the hair, bro. All right, let's start talking about this matchup once again because Suning Gaming coming out the gate swing right here. It didn't look like TOP even had a chance coming in that first game. It's not even like we disliked the draft as well.
Yeah, which is why I'm surprised I even doubted them in the past. Suning Gaming as a squad, they have very strong individual players, and it was all about the structure. The only thing that counteracted that was that I had equal faith to the structure of TOP. The draft was strong. The preparation is something that we're not questioning. It's still about the player's resilience inside of the game itself. You can draft a great composition, but it's still about XX, who has been the star during the regular season, to show up in the playoffs.
Man, doubt does lead you over to the dark side, so never go too deep into that. But I want to talk about Suning Gaming and their adaptations. They did get side selection in Game 2 because TOP gets an extra point. So it's really interesting that they went for the red side, and it's very showing in their strategy. Typically, Suning Gaming is a strictly blue side team. They have a very strong emphasis on stuff like the Swain, stuff like the Recon, so they're always blue, but they went red side for a very good reason. They are emphasizing that top lane matchup. And I think Game 2 is going to follow the same pattern. Whoever gets the push in the top side is most likely going to control the mid game.
I wonder, because you don't get to see what the enemy team has had strategized or prepared for you until Game 1. The fact that they had nailed down so many support picks for you, and sure, you can go back and say, I'm going to play the Shen again, but he doesn't feel as comfortable. And if I'm him, you'd want to be able to get your hands on the Recon to end the game a little earlier on, because one of the bigger worries that they had in Game 1 was the fact that they didn't have true engage until FLICKR was ready. So Tom Kent would make it so you don't need that engage, but the Recon forced them to ban that on red side. So I think there are different reasons why you'd want them on blue side or red side. I think that they would be a little bit more comfortable on blue side.
Well, if you're talking about top side, then obviously a big linchpin of that is going to be the jungle. So how do you either draft around or play around helping out the top side? Do you have to go full snake and just be like, all right, SFM style, we're going to play towards the jungle until we get him to mid game?
So I think both junglers have very, very clear tendencies, and for FLICKR, it's all about Trundle and Camille. Those are his two big picks. And you can see in the draft, what they always do is ban out Kindred, first pick the Trundle, or do the other way around and just pick the Camille, which is also a flex pick for Xiaolin into the top lane. So if XX needs to think up a strategy, he should think up of a counter strategy against these two champions specifically.
And his counter ganking statistics for XX, that is fairly high. He has eyes on the jungler on most occasions, and that's mostly because he does prioritize a better jungle matchup. So for him, he was out of his waters, his territories, where he wasn't being able to track down where FLICKR was, and a lot of times he was hiding himself. So if I'm XX going into the next game, prioritize your jungle matchup so you can actually have eyes on where FLICKR is looking towards. Maybe you can give Korn a little bit better of pressure, because Korn was suffering for that reason as well. For TOP, a lot of their pressure comes, or at least the jungle pressure, heads towards the mid lane. So they can get Korn ahead, and he can pay it forward. That was not even step one this game, and they need to at least get that step going.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the interesting thing to me was the fact they also started Lies in that game, right? Because Lies got subbed out, and he was basically the Darius guy. You want Darius, you call in Lies. You know, you give him a call, and it's like, you need some Darius play right now. This time brings out the Urgot, but is he only now a specialist pick person? He comes in for game, and was like, all right, Urgot didn't work, let's draft and mow you.
I hope not, because that would be a terrible thing for his career. I hope he wasn't in the bunker for 2 weeks practicing the Urgot, comes out, doesn't work, and then gets sent straight back into the underworld. But, you know, Lies is, like you said, like 60% of his wins come from one champion. And that's always been his problem. So we were actually very surprised to see Lies playing instead of Moyu, who's been recently having a very good matchup. He actually won the matchup against Xiao the last time they played.
Yeah, Moyu has had a great second half of the split. Something must have happened in discussions and scrims. I know whenever someone gets subbed out globally, Cody's son is done, maybe. The memes come out. People get outraged. Maybe there are a few Chinese fans that are wondering the same question about where is Moyu, because that is a legitimate question. It started out, where was Marin? but then there was real strength to Lies and Moyu, and Moyu came out as a consistent, very strong carry top laner, and we're not seeing him for a very crucial series.
And frankly, you always forget the name Marin that was ever on TOP. It's just like, Marin what? Because when Marin came in, like, he didn't have the best performances coming into that squad. He did individually in his lane, but they just could not coordinate around Marin. And then they start bringing in Lies and Moyu. It's like, it finally looks like a team.
Because when BSYY comes in, a lot of it is focused on communication and team play. The fact that they are a team that works so much towards the statistics of like kill participation, like team kill participation, and having their top laner, Moyu in that case, be so high in walking and helping out the rest of the map, that's there for a reason. So for Moyu, who in the previous split, in fact his first split in the LPL, he was just a split pushing Jax. That's what we knew him as. If he doesn't get Jax, he's picking up Kennen, and he's never joining the team. That has changed astronomically, and it's because of that coaching that has come and given that direction.
I remember there were so many TOP games with Mar where he seemed to be doing well, he was split pushing, and then the rest of his team just dies, collapses. And you wonder to yourself, where was the problem? Was the problem really the 4-man? Because that was what we were talking about most of the time, but it seems like in BSYY's perspective, it's about the communication coming from the top laner itself.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you, that's likely the most possible explanation to why they're benching a world champion in favor of honestly no-name Chinese local talents.
For sure, but then you actually look at Lies, and he's starting again in this game, and it's just like, well, soon in game, if they pick up the next win, do they bring a Moyu? Because Lies comes in, again, he's only been coming in, drip some drabs towards the end of the season, primarily been Moyu, and he's been what has actually allowed them to get such an upswing in terms of their standings.
True. Remember the perspective going into the back and having that discussion as a team, because Lies can come out and say, and it's very true, nothing I did was wrong that game, guys. I had 3 people on top side. XX got blasted.
I always got the Urgot back.
So, like, the jungle mid is what got hammered the most. The Urgot could have done well. In fact, it was a great matchup for him as long as the Gragas didn't fall down so early. So it makes sense to give him a second shot. Say this time, you know, we'll fix something up, patch up jungle mid, and XX will do well on the top side as well.
I also think it could be the changes in 8.16. You were talking about Moria as more of a split pusher. Jax Camille is more in his territory. But 8.16 has really been about tanks. We've seen Poppy and Sion rise through the rankings. And if you look at Lies overall, he's mainly a tank player. Ornn is one of his biggest champions. Sion is one of those picks he does bring out often. So that could also be an explanation that they want just a solid player in the top lane that is familiar with these champions.
Definitely he soaks damage personally throughout his series. He takes a lot, and it might help out Chocho in the later stages of this game because we've been seeing a lot more AD carries come out with the usual Storm Razors. No more mages. Sometimes we see a few mages. I know that he played Swain just in the previous
you want that
game.
stat?
Yeah.
Okay, give it to me.
All right, 8.16, 84 games played so far, 3 mages.
There we have it. Our mage is dead.
I
Clement.
was really worried about Suning because this seemed like the worst possible patch that Suning could possibly get. You're talking about bot lane duo kills. Well, heal is on a CD reduction. It's now at 240 seconds, and mages are almost out of the meta.
Yeah.
So coming into this, I actually thought TOP would have a very strong chance of taking it in 5. That would have been my predictions going in. After watching game 1, I'm not so sure anymore.
It's impressive to me that you doubted Suning Gaming so you had to wear a wig, then doubled down on being against Suning Gaming with TOP, and now here we are.
They always come back.
They always come back to bite you. Absolutely, you can.
Right.
You got some
Suning
time before
Gaming
Champions left.
At the point, they had a new mid laner. They just traded out Fun. He stepped off after the first series. He played Kassadin. There was a new mid laner there, and LGD had the 4th best record in that month. So I was like, LG is going to take it. I don't even know who Angel is. He's not going to be the savior. He's not divine, but here they are.
And here we are in the second champion select in this series. Now 1-1 in points. TOP banning away the Swain, Tam Kench, and Rakan. Suning Gaming removing the Akali, Aatrox, and the Kindred. And it's going to be a first pick Camille from TOP.
There we go. I mean, the Trundle is still up and available, and you should feel happy about picking up a Trundle later on, knowing that Kindred is gone out of the equation. The only worry is that knowing that you're going up against the Camille, you give her an extra bit of terrain to work off of.
Ooh, and you were going to see the LeBlanc coming in, possibly. She's been one of the high risers after the Electrocute changed because her DPS actually increased. She is able to proc the Electrocute constantly in the matchup, and we have seen her rising up in multiple regions.
That's why the biggest thing about 8.16 has been the Electrocute nerfs. I'll say changes. It's changes. It's a nerf to jungles. But for mid laners who can actually utilize it throughout the laning phase consistently, you get a lot out of it, and LeBlanc is one of them.
Now, I'm going to be that guy. It's just like, I'm all about the Urgot. You know, on China, the first Mastery 7 champion I had was Urgot. But
now
2 times in a row, I have to say, not like this. You know, like TOP doubling down on the pick blind, but then Suning Gaming again bringing the Vladimir into it.
It's fairly interesting because they do give up the superior jungle matchup. I fully expect TOP to focus their bans down on especially the Trundle and the Olaf, I would say, and just take away the possibility to influence the top lane. If that does happen, your Urgot pick might be having a field day for once.
One of the biggest changes in this draft for Suning Gaming is that they don't have to necessarily worry about not having the engage that they had in the last one. Alistar picked up super early here for Yoon. Means that, hey, you know what? I don't have Shen anymore. Thank God. I can now go in for the headbutt Pulverize. And so Suning Gaming can get a little bit more damage in there for the next few picks.
All right, banning away the Shen and the Fiddlesticks from Suning Gaming right here. And Olaf will be the ban there towards Hacker.
Just like I said, now this is very interesting because Suning Gaming, they have to anticipate this. They know those champions are going to get banned away. What other jungler are they really going to run? But they actually leave the Trundle on top. Probably thinking the LeBlanc has a good chance of catching out and getting some kills onto the Trundle.
And also, having Camille, as I mentioned, the earlier priority, they could just be thinking that Camille is an alright matchup into the Trundle. I would favor the Trundle in those situations. It depends who meets who earlier on. That being said, Xin Zhao being hovered is interesting. You'd wonder who they've been scrimming because we've been seeing a lot more Xin Zhao in the last few weeks, specifically out of Clear Love, to your point. So there we have it. Hacker locks in the Xin Zhao. I want to see what we can do with him.
I like the matchup as well into Camille Crescent's Guard Wall knocker straight out of that Hextech Ultimatum. So we'll be able to duel XX in the jungle if we actually get to them coming to blows. And TOP back onto their side, looking towards 80 carries now. We'll have to finish off the draft right here, but looking for actually straight up just their bottom lane.
Thank God. I mean, you look towards the NA LCS and European LCS, and 80 carries have been specifically Varus. First pickable. You throw it out there because you really value your bottom lane having shove. But in this series, both of these teams, Chocho and Fury are like, nah, I'm good. Second phase, I'm alright. I have a larger champion pool. In fact, both of these 80 carries have gone towards the Ahri in the past. Chocho, not a happier Ahri. He's actually got blasted on the Ahri.
He's a sad fox.
But Chocho, throughout the series, throughout the split, has been known for having to play anything at any time. So he gets the Varus, but it was uncontested.
Oh boy.
It hasn't been locked in.
This could be the Fury
yet.
special.
It could be, and
he's known for playing
this
this
champion.
champion.
Fury,
There we go.
and there we go. It's locked in. Kennen comes out here as the marksman pick. That'll be going in alongside the Alistar.
Yeah, definitely don't link this video to Reckless. He doesn't need to see. That's the one thing he doesn't need to see.
He's soft enough.
Oh boy, but the teams have really swapped their identities right here. TOP have thrown Teamfight out the window. For Suning Gaming, they're actually going for AoE, which we haven't seen before. This is a very difficult composition for TOP to actually walk into anymore. How is Camille actually going to engage in these teamfights? She's going to get popped instantly.
Yep,
Yeah.
pure zone control. Remember the Season 2 special, Kennen Vladimir. Throw him
boy.
in there.
Oh, wow.
Massive AoE. And it's good enough. If Kennen just goes AD here, it's good enough to throw people away because Kennen's just going to be great lockdown anyways. As long as you're inside of the ultimate, you're getting stunned. So going up against this composition, you're right. You don't want a team fight into the Kennen. And he's great in split pushing because I would love to see him go towards AD, Blade of the Rune King, maybe a little bit more magic resist. I want to see what we have in the first level here.
I mean, really, just the divers just have a bad time going
Yeah.
into this. They're literally jumping into a maelstrom of blood. And it's just not going to be good for the LeBlanc. She's going to jump. It's like, oh, there's all my health, and I'm stunned in the middle of the team. Same thing for Camille. There's no exit.
And it's like, what did you actually put in the washing machine? It's all red and bloody, and there's
Yeah,
bits of TOP left right there. So For me, this is TOP's answer to Suning Gaming's weaknesses, and it's about the jungle and mid. Now, Angel, I have to say, is an unproven player. The last time Korn played against him, not this series, of course, the last time he played against him, he had a legendary game on the Aurelia. So I think that's what they're betting on right here. TOP, Korn, you're the old veteran, show the new guy some curb stopping.
There we go. I mean, I like the feel of that. In fact, you saying unproven, for both of these teams, they could feel the same thing, because last split, you already made a mention, not being able to find themselves in playoffs. But that veteranship of Korn should be good enough. The fact that he's been trying to face up against this young gun Angel and has been losing just to start the series off, picking up the LeBlanc, he's doubling down on that confidence.
You have to go into the afterlife to be an angel, so that's what Korn is
Get outta here.
looking to do.
I feel like he wants to go down in a blaze of glory, though. He's aiming for Valhalla. You know what I mean? Like, Korn, he's that type of guy. Wants to go down fighting. Well, let's see if they can make it happen. 1-1 in this series. We're down to a best of 3 as we get onto the Rift.
I'm going to let you guys guess on this.
All right, I'm ready.
It's a good game. What happened in the 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, of the discussion? TOP went up to BSYY. Now, contrast, early game, XX and Korn, Gragas and Rise, you know, getting demolished in the first 15 minutes. Now they have Ignite LeBlanc and Camille. It's almost as though XX and Korn says, gave us power, please. Level 2 gank mid lane. Angel will not survive. That's a hint. So what do you guys think?
That's a long question, Raz.
Yes, it is.
Well,
I mean, I've got to agree with you. I mean, like, the fact that you just need to give more power back to just not only the mid lane, but the top side of the map, because Urgot was just having a bad time. He basically lost lane priority as soon as the game started. He was like, well, great. I mean, let's go for game 2. And he gets a rerun. He gets to go for Season 2 right here up against Vladimir, so it does feel like that was the case.
Oh, XX level 2. What are you doing?
Oh, incredible. I've never seen this one before. Here we go. Force the flash out from Angel, and there you go. Lane priority for Korn.
All right, now, you know, he's held on to his flash. Korn didn't even have to do anything. Sat down and watched the show happen in front of him.
Yeah.
So Angel is going to be the one on the back foot now. He's going to be the one losing out in a little bit of experience in CS. The only thing he can feel confident about is the fact that he's got a little bit of resistances in his secondary tree. Going back to base can get some HP, and it's going to be harder for XX to get the gank across.
and I really love this setup coming in from TOP, but we might have to watch the gank. What TOP did was they did try to split jungle, early level 1 invade, try to make it a vertical jungle experience where they have the stronger top side. But all they need to do is avoid this gank or it doesn't work.
They don't have wards here. So Chocho and Cat would love to be able to place a ward and see
No level
Hacker,
2.
but they don't have the trinket just
Here
yet.
it is.
Let's go.
He's going to try. Double knockup. It's good. Hacker jumps immediately into the fray. Cat trying to jump away from this one. Has to heal on top of him, but he's burning down. First blood to Hacker.
The double dab, what the hell? They were hiding in between each other. So Fury and Yoon coming in with the gank. Hacker made a lot happen. In fact, even though the Morgana shield came in through, he knew that he had the damage with Ignite ticking as well to get up the kill.
I
Well
have
done.
to say, this was really poorly played from TOP because they understood where the junglers started. They had to have an inkling that this gank was coming in. I mean, where else is Hacker actually going to go? And to still be caught out in this laning position, I think it's inexcusable if you actually know the start.
Yeah, and remember, Cat and Chocho do take risks during the laning phase. Knowing that they didn't have the wards, they were nowhere near the bush. So they're actually assuming that there could be pressure at any moment. They were just gambling on the fact that Cat would be able to send out the shield earlier on. Had about Pulverize coming that quickly, he didn't react to it, and that was his demise.
Fury and Yoon in a good situation here. XX is actually sneaking his way into the brushes like a ninja. But looks like he's going to go back to base. Yeah, sees no real opportunity. There's no reason for Fury and Yoon to push out right here with the mini-wave crashing into the tower. So we'll just get his recalls down, get his first couple items before he goes back onto the Rift. But Hacker, again, indirectly just manages to get the advantage in the jungle here and starts it off for Suning.
I feel like TOP are splitting their attention a bit too much. In League of Legends, you want to play toward top side or towards the bottom side. Now, what their bottom side wants to do is push in because they're a Varus and a Morgana. They do have the pushing advantage, but that takes them away from their original game plan. Your game plan should just to have Camille up there on top, trying to get the ganks, trying to get the kills, snowball Corn, the most important part of your composition. But if they sink too many resources into the bot because they have to push, I actually feel like they're making a wrong call.
It's a little bit of paranoia here, because FLICKR came in for a second gank onto his Chocho, and knowing that the wave still need to get pushed in mid, bottom lane, XX stayed a little bit longer so they can get a full push so they can base. So for him, it was more protective. Spent a lot of time for him. Sure, he gets his own base across, but with FLICKR, with a lot more golden experience underneath him for how long he's been on the map and having the first kill, he finally gets his base across, but he answers with his own double longsword. So he's better off for his own farming that he was able to get across.
Yeah, that's the jungle of the story of the junglers, I should say. In the mid lane, though, overtime, because that first gank coming in, giving priority over to Corn, has opened up a 3 to a 4 wave advantage over Angel. And if you actually take a look at the gold difference, despite the first blood going down, we're almost equal, because all that gold is remade up in the mid lane here for Corn.
Yeah, early gank worked out really well for him. And remember, he has minion dematerializer, so if the first gank didn't work out, he was going to have pressure anyways every single time a cannon wave came in through. Just completely delete the cannon and try and look for a trade.
Ooh, that was nice from Angel, but turning this one around, he's got FLICKR coming in from around the side. He's ticking down from the Ignite. He falls to Corn on that 1 versus 2, and in comes XX for the counter gang. FLICKR has to turn this one around, but he might not make it out with the teleport coming down. Last auto like XX secures it. 2 kills to TOP.
Corn just playing bait, gets the first kill, waits a little bit to see if FLICKR can try and go for the next kill. Blows his own flash for it, but they secure 2 kills for that entire play.
Yeah, that was perfectly executed because I believe he got his level up during the play. Oh no, he did get stunned right there, but Angel was willing to bait out his entire HP bar just for the potential to kill Corn. And I have to say, this was very poorly advised. Look at the map. They have no vision around this section, and for FLICKR, a Xin Zhao one-way champion, to go in like that, it's just desperation and really weird communication coming in from Suning Gaming. I think FLICKR, you just show yourself, you make sure Angel doesn't die, wait till he hits 6. That should have been the correct play.
These are 2 teams that have come out ahead in multiple times in those same situations. XX and Corn, Angel and FLICKR, they've done this multiple times, and they're able to get leads off of it. So they were confident they could do it again.
Yoon potentially under attack right here. The sweep comes through, and it's a lot of damage coming from the piercing arrow as well. Yoon getting chased back to the tower. Last auto attack from Chocho. It will be enough, but now he's tagged underneath the tower. Fury with the counter kill.
You just don't expect the stuns coming through from Fury there, but he could be the next target. Get out of there.
Corn's here as well. It's a 3v1.
Dodges a dark binding, but Fury knows his days are numbered here. As Corner's right behind him, waiting for this minion wave to crash. Lining up against the wall as well. Fury doesn't even have the ultimate to defend himself and loses 50% of his HP from that distortion.
I'm so certain if he had able to been clearing that wave, he would have had level 6. That was so large, and it was also a cannon minion wave, but they didn't give him a chance. The moment he went to try and get an E across the entire minion wave, they just blew him up.
Tell you what, I'm a big fan of the Corn winning condition for TOP. You put all of the eggs in the Corn basket, and he will often deliver, and he will do it on a plethora of different champions. We've seen this on Aurelia, Talon, LeBlanc. This guy will keep delivering if you actually give him that support.
Is one of the big assassins players of the LPL, and on my notebook I had jotted down Suning win conditions number 2, contain Corn, because this guy's an absolute monster. He might be an old dog, but he's been learning new tricks this split as well, with the Talon, with the Aurelia. So if this game plan goes on, Suning is going to have to ask himself a lot of questions, what they're going to answer with.
There you go. So Yoon and Fury trying to get a fight started, because the last time the Headbutt Pulverize combo came through, I mean, it was successful, but Cat baited it out while the jungler was nearby, and sure, the kill was traded, but just take a look at LeBlanc, who was right behind him, was able to get the kill after the replay.
At the very least, it gave a little bit of time for Angel to farm, but now he's got 3 people to contend with in the mid lane. TOP finds a good rotation to the mid on the cannon wave, no less. He's out with the Flawless Duet, doesn't manage to tag onto anybody, but Yoon on the bottom side, that's the ultimatum. He's level 5, doesn't have his ultimate, and Fury does not want to get involved just yet. Jumps over the wall! It's going to be a massive maelstrom! Yoon flashes the wall, XX low, he'll try to cut away from the play. He wants his kill! What a sidestep from the cow right there!
And TOP, they walk themselves into the situation.
Oh, Duet's good. Coming out from Angel, gives him the poke, and Yoon trying to get in range for this one. He's like, this one's mine. Cat, you're the first to support. This one's mine.
That was so well played from Fury, Angel, getting right into the thick of things when TOP were just trying to fish for one more Ghana binding on towards Yoon. If they were to get the kill, get in and out, excellent. But it didn't happen. Cat ran for his life the moment he knew that that was a little bit of damage coming through.
That was really suspect because I felt like TOP had all the information needed to back out of that play. They knew that there was a Kennen right around the corner. He just walked in from the top side, I believe. Yeah, that ward should have caught him right there. They definitely knew that he was in the vicinity. Hacker and Angel are coming past the minion wave, and they still go after the Alistar play, which is really questionable for me. This was definitely a throw coming out from TOP, but well caught from Suni.
Just absolutely exposed right there. And managed to catch him on the very edge of the floor's duet as well.
I know it's really early on, but you still have to have eyes on the cooldowns of hookshot, so there's a very real possibility that Camille gets out of there. Gets a real low cooldown once you start maxing it. Of course, level 6 still has a few abilities in, so that's what I want to see. I mean, TOP had a really good foothold around the Dragon area. The fact that they tried to fight in such a cordon-off space gave the AoE of Vanguard's Edge, double headbutt pulverizer from Yoon. So there was no way for Cat to really participate, to walk in and send out his own ultimate. They have a second chance here being able to take down this tower, but they still have to watch themselves. Great early game that they fall off.
Yeah. Do manage to take the mid lane tower though, so they managed to get their original objective. Of course, it was stalled about a minute or so because Suning Gaming were able to defuse that and take more on top of that.
And to follow up on the earlier conversation of what build Fury is going to be going to, already been answered earlier on, but Protobell, Electrocute, he's an AP Kennen. So those plays are what you have to watch out for. The consistent damage in the side laning isn't there, but in these team fights, Chocho needs more space to work with. Korn needs to be trying to find flank positions to isolate these carries, but he can't do it in these team fights.
I really like the AP build here from Kennen. They do have the 80 damage coming in from their mid laner anyway, and they're going up a TLP composition that is very, in Chinese we call it crispy, but they lack a lot of HP. They are very brittle. They break easily. So having the extra burst damage, I feel like is better than the AD build.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it comes down to how you want to end up playing the compositions. The Blade of the Rune King comps, I love. I mean, Reckless loves it too. You just play a slower, lamer game. That's not how Suning is though.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yep.
I mean, going towards an AP Kennen here means that it allows Aurelia to be a lot more, I would say, free. You don't have to go towards any armor penetration because people have to respect the AP that's so heavy in this composition. And also just team fight. Walk forward. Xiao Al is on his Vladimir once again. Worked out so well last game. Amplified now by the Kennen this game.
I kind of feel like this is the problem that you have if you focus so far on your bottom side. Once again, Lies is falling behind.
Yep.
And once again, we said, Urgot, if you don't get a lane advantage, you're a big walking trash bin with 6 legs. I believe this is a direct quote from Pulse.
You're not wrong. I did type that in WeChat.
That's a good skin idea, but I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, honestly, if you don't get any support from the jungler, then yes, you can get trades like this, but that happens. You know,
Yeah,
like if
typical
you're able to
Shinchen
chase
idea.
them down in the first couple levels pre-6, that's where you have a really good opportunity. You can also spike at 6 with Fear Beyond Death, chase him in that long lane. But if you're not knocking down the tower, you can't run him back, then Vladimir's going to kite you all day and it's like, all right, see ya, nerd. I'll see you at team fights and be way more useful.
And the sustain is what's important here too. The constant poke Lies has been dishing onto him. Every time Crimson Rush comes back for Xiao Al, able to heal that up with the next wave that comes through. So usually Urgot's much more devastating to deal with, but there's reason for Vladimir to be a little bit more comfortable in this laning phase. So sure, now he has Black Cleaver. He's going to come back into the lane and start hitting a little bit harder. But with the small windows that they have, based on Vladimir's sustain, they need to make the best use out of it.
I do like the build of going the Unsealed Spellbook, however. Usually in this matchup, we do see the, I believe it was Comet or Grasp of the Undying being taken, but he is going with the Unsealed Spellbook and skipping the Executioner's Calling. We just saw him burn the Ignite right there with the Unsealed. So, you know, it's kind of a Band-Aid situation, but it's an interesting build to go for if you want to hard counter the Vladimir with the best possible gold efficiency.
It's what Ray did as well, actually, in his game. He also picked up the Unsealed Spellbook. And now that we're on the new patch on 16, because there were changes also to everything that Urgot likes to take in lane, we're actually seeing Purge be maxed first versus Q. I know Ray did that the other day, and I was actually surprised because Q is almost always the first max, followed by E, but there's no point of all your poking tools coming out from your runes have been nerfed.
We can see on the screen, this is basically a fan vote for popularity. We call it force vote in China.
Do we force everyone to vote?
I don't think so.
Okay. 16% though, the 1% advantage to XX right there.
I mean, it comes down to, if you look to what TOP, what makes them great, what people have been a fan of, it has been XX. Sure, Corn has a larger history, a Worlds finalist history, but if you were to look at the identity for this squad, it starts with XX and it does end with Corn, but XX is the major focus, and that's what the fans are realizing.
Yeah. Recent history as well. You know, it's been a long time since the glory days of Korn, right? Like, he's telling those war stories, but well, these youngsters, you know, watch Season 7, Season 8, but don't know of the old days.
Well, I would expect for the gaming house for TOP to at least have one area where it's just a campfire. That's where Corn is constantly positioned, and that's
The
where his
corn
PC
room.
is.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you want to learn something about playing Oriana with teleport,
Oh, the follow through from Korn.
You got him.
That old dog got a whole lot of new tricks.
sit around that campfire, baby. This is what you
Let
learn
me tell
when
you
you're
a
in Corn
story.
school. You got to respect it. Respect your elderly. Now, he's going to be able to get a tower based off that. This is Corn series.
Oh, he sat Xiao Al in the campfire. He didn't like sit around.
threw him
It's
in.
like, we're actually just roasting you this game. Like, Xiao Al did not expect that to happen. I actually felt like TOP with that first play, it's a bit suspect. I felt like their bot lane wasn't in position to actually help the Herald. They got a bit greedy and went mid instead.
Yeah.
So it got halted by Suning. But that hero play coming in from Korn, they get what they originally came for. They got the Herald play to at least give them a tower. And just look at the kills on Korn right now.
Yeah, 3-1-1. He's able to get his double magic penetration, which means you have to double respect that, double hold that L. Xiao Al, of course, is not going to recognize how much damage comes through the Ignite following through, because throughout the entire game, remember, Xiao Al and the mid laner Angel have been making plays happen around Hacker. They've been making a lot of baits happen because Hacker has been behind. But it just showcases, if you die that early, Hacker has to be there much earlier on, or you just have to start thinking for yourself.
100-0 on the item power spike as well. Is now sat on the Ludens plus the Oblivion Orb. 3-1-1 as you just mentioned. And again, it's the Korn win condition. If everything else fails, and see how much damage this LeBlanc can do. We're still looking towards this one for the early towards the mid game. Sunny Gaming though are still ramping up as a team, so we need to see more, but that was still massive. Blew open the top lane, took down the Vladimir, took down the tower. We see more of that coming out of TOP here, specifically Korn, that we might be able to just overwhelm Sunny before they get to those fights.
And just look at TOP's vision in the enemy jungle right here. That's over 7 wards placed on their side, and the ward, of course, expanding right now, but they have so much control, and Sunny have so little recourse to actually take back kills. They pretty much can only do it with Aurelia if she's somewhere near these side lanes. And you can see the pings up top. Once Aurelia is kind of isolated there, TOP are very free to group up and then force plays or force favorable HP trades.
And statistically, Cat on just wards killed per minute is one of the highest in the league. So when he's in this position, this is when he's comfortable. For Cat to be able to utilize the double control wards he has in his pocket and start strangling the vision that Suning Gaming have, this is how they end games so quickly and how they feel so decisive around their plays.
Yep, Cat likes killing. Doesn't matter if it's a champion or a ward. He'll go after it. Hacker initiating onto Chocho, looking for this massive cannon ultimate coming across. Wipes out the AD carry from existence. Flash away, not going to help you, Cat. He's getting chased down. Over the wall, Liza's in, and Korn waiting for this one, but he does not want to jump into 5 people.
Oh,
Vanguard's Edge falls over the wall. Angel following through. He wants a kill in return. He wants a revenge, but managed to juke back out of there. Yoon throw through a loop, and Korn will walk away.
This is disastrous for TOP though, and while you can style to get yourself out of there, why were you in there to begin with? It all really starts with Chocho and Cat pushing up in the mid lane alone, and just Suning Gaming eyeing them. Hacker realizing I can just jump right in there, flashes for it, and nets the advantage.
And I love the play from Suning Gaming because what was happening right there was Liz was pushing in the top lane. He was trying to find Angel, the Aurelia, the initiation that could make that play happen. And you could tell that Chocho and Cat were backing out already. They felt like, oh, wait a minute, we don't see the Aurelia, we want to back out. But too late. That was a rotational advantage from Suning. Hacker was willing to go in early and risk potential collapse from XX and Korn to make that happen.
And I know that Pulse did make a point of Cat likes killing, but he definitely couldn't protect his own AD carry in that situation. A lot of people thought they could, and they lost their lives for it. So you can't protect each other, you just have to let each other go.
Oh, and he just steps outside with everyone watching him.
Yeah.
Great.
Korn played that exceptionally well in terms of mechanics as well. Jumps away from the Blaze Surge. I believe he stops the reset coming out there as well from Angel. And he's just gone. No one was covering the back exit. He just walks away.
That was insane. Yoon already hit the blast cone, so he was over the wall. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not chasing this guy. Sorry.
There's no way I can chase this one down. I mean, still 2 kills over to SNG, and more specifically, they've managed to defuse that push coming in, because TOP were pushing in every single lane. They were actually pushing up to those inners, trying to crack these after taking all of the altars, but this is going to be another 30 seconds to even 2 minutes before they get to set up again, and in the meantime, Baron's going to be spawning, their worst enemy.
That's why communication for them has been something they've worked out throughout the entire split, and why it's so weird that it's just falling to pieces this much in game 2. I'm really surprised about it. So for TOP, you can't fall that far behind with LeBlanc doing this well. So in the top side of the map, this is why you see both Varus and Morgana actually pretty far back in how they've been pushing out mid. So they're playing extra respectful, knowing that you can just do that. Like, what the hell? No one expects the flashing cow.
Yeah, the big problem here for TOP is I don't think their bot lane is particularly safe at producing pressure. And Lies always needs the jungler to babysit him as well. So their lane allocations are a bit difficult to really manage. They get pushed back very easily if the enemy just walks out. They have to respect that. So I honestly feel like TOP kind of missed out on their chance where they had full spectrum dominance of the lanes, where they were ahead in nothing gold to just raw push it in. Right now, establishing push control in mid and bot is going to become very hard for them.
But this is the most crucial time for them, because just coming back from base, 5 control wards being picked up by every single one of them. Corrin has actually just placed his own around Baron, so the call has to be around Baron. So TOP usually go for that one punch, and it seems like it's going to be happening rather soon.
I like this idea. You collapse the lanes in further and you use your pick potential to find your advantages. Not just spread out all your chips, because you can't really get anything from that anymore. You want to group up, and I like the switch in the mentality and the understanding of the game state coming in from TOP.
Yeah, it's just about whether they can execute well, because Suni Gaming have a lot of ways of actually just blasting it open with a cannon ultimate coming through. You've got multiple flankers, Vladimir coming across, so they can all push into this one as long as they don't separate, because right now it looks like Angel is the one to be potentially under attack. He's got cannon and the Alistair behind him. In fact, the whole team is getting involved just in case TOP move up to the top side and try and collapse.
And XX must feel frustrated because he's just being called out constantly. He even gets chunked out in the jungle because Kennen throws out a Q. So they were just setting up for a play if Angel, as most Aurelias would do, sent out a Q on the minion wave, and they can try and look for it. But now they can look towards mid lane instead.
That was a heavy commit from SNG to basically bait out the Aurelia, which means that mid lane, no one there to defend. Bot lane, no one there. Mid lane falls here to TOP uncontested. Suni Gaming will still be able to push into their jungle, but TOP are actually making headway now as they push towards the dragon. Just spawns, will be a mountain dragon for themselves, and as they're trying to play around Baron, this will be a good pickup.
I don't think there's going to be a contest from Suning Gaming, but what TOP did there, I felt like Corrin had such great engages. He was able to chunk out Hacker when Hacker was trying to go for the mid lane tower. Oops.
Forces the flash right there. Didn't have distortion, so Corrin will have to escape.
Would have been in a stickier situation based off of the proto belt that Vlad used. If it was anywhere closer, would have actually landed some damage. But Corrin is relatively safe going back in.
Yeah, he's right in the middle of 3 people right now. Misses the ethereal chains, and Liza's there. He's the bodyguard. The big bodyguard. He has just been exhausted there onto Xiao Ao, but here comes Yoon. Double knockup is good under Vanguard's edge. Complete collapse coming in, looking for that Maelstrom. Fury opens up onto the backline, takes out Cat, looking towards Korn. Doesn't have the damage in return, and it's a clean 3 kills to SNG.
Wombo combo was definitely there in force. It was TOP trying to eye Angel, knowing that he was so damn low in HP. They just needed to create some space so Lies can look for the assassination. That would have been enough to look for a Baron. Suning Gaming knew that they were tunneling and just go in.
And once again, this isn't a information disadvantage from TOP. It's a reaction disadvantage. You can see the wards in the mid lane. They knew Fury was coming in. He wasn't taking the teleport route. He was just walking straight towards them. But TOP, they just can't make the plays soon enough. They kind of hesitate, and the information processing is so slow, they lose their AD carry before XX is in the fight.
Whoa. 1 bullet left in the chamber. XX over the wall. He's going to drop right here. Korn still managed to get that 1 kill, though. He's hunting for more. Jumps the wall. Doesn't get the steal.
It was close. That was a good try by our veteran.
I was waiting for the bet to pay off. I just want 1 Baron steal, and it just didn't happen. But it's getting close. Every time we look towards it, I thought it was going to happen.
Every time we're talking about a bet, you need to say what you're gonna do. But first of all, let's watch this team fight. They do have full vision of all of the members coming in from SNG, so I feel like their decision making was just slow. It was lagging behind, and Chocho didn't get the memo to potentially back out. Yoon finds him with the WQ combo, and he dies without Angel really even touching him.
It's always about that split-second reaction. You have a good idea of where their location is, but when you finally see them on the map, that's when they strike. So Kennen coming through, sure there was a great deep ward through mid lane where TOP had eyes on them, but the moment they do, Alistar was already in position. So it felt like it was very difficult for TOP. They were already in the mindset that they wanted to get the kill onto Angel.
Yeah, and again, my boy Urgot, most damage currently there from TOP in that team fight. Wasn't Urgot's fault in game 1, wasn't Urgot's fault in game number 2, but soon in game, say what you will about their team fights, but in terms of coordination and how snappy they are with their decision making, I almost never see anyone lagging behind a play. Everybody instantly goes in when a call is made.
I had game 1. I was back in the Urgot. This is a game where they got a jungle mid working in their favor, and he still wasn't able to make anything happen top lane. It's not as though he was losing lane, but we would expect him. He needs to be able to get more out of that and call XX. If you're a top laner, if you're a top laner named Stark, you can do a lot because your jungle is going to be top lane. That didn't happen.
Oh, opening up into the jungle right here. Vanguard's edge onto 3, multiple disarms. That's going to be Fear Beyond Depth though. Huge Fear coming across. Hacker running towards Chocho. He gets the knock-up, and it's going to be another kill right here. He just slices and dices him down. Slicing Maelstrom, speaking of, gets rooted in place. You're going to have to take a timeout, buddy. But that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, no flash there for Fury. In fact, wasn't there to begin with. So that was just a good opening for TOP to get one pick and get out of there. They traded something, which I think is all right for TOP.
That was favorable for TOP 100% because Suning had Baron and they took the Baron buff off of multiple members. I felt like it was a really good, basically a trap set up by TOP. They were waiting for Suning to rotate across the area and cut them off before they even touch any of their towers. So it's a really risky idea, but it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, only a minute left on this Baron buff, so maybe we get one push off, but keep in mind, Suning Gaming haven't even taken down a tower yet this game. We're 26 minutes into the game. They have Baron, and they're at 0 towers. Right now, Cat trying to defend the mid lane. Didn't go well for him, so that will open up the mid lane. That's going to be the first tower of the game here for Suning.
It's usually fairly scary for the enemy team, knowing the enemy, like, that, let's say Suning Gaming. So much gold in their pockets, 3K gold, and they haven't even taken one, you know. It's just basically they haven't gone to the bank just yet. They just need to not be lazy and head to the bank. They're doing it now, so a lot of gold is traveling in their pockets. What was a 3K gold is now expanding to a 4 to 5K gold as long as they can get something in the top lane. You see where Aurelia is right now. It's just all about that journey, and TOP are going to have to hold it.
I mean, frankly, there's a lot of just standing gold on the map that just got picked up here for Suning Gaming. Crack open the mid lane tower, the bottom lane tower as well. They're way ahead in terms of kills.
Oh, hey.
And farm on the top side. I mean, a lot of the farm differential is in the bottom lane right now between Chocho and Fury, but Fury's just being with the team. Suning Gaming just promote themselves. They just won their promo. They're now Diamond. Congratulations.
Nice.
That is the popularity contest we have on all LPL games, you will see. But even with the advantage that TOP did acquire in the bot lane, they didn't transition to anything in terms of the team fight. Like, the Varus pick has actually been a constant sore spot for them because TOP is a very mobile team. They want to find picks. You can't really do that with the Varus in the team fight. He's going to lag behind. He's going to present himself as a target. And look at that scoreline.
All right, we'll see if Houdini can make it out. Yep, that was... he did it. A lot easier than I thought it was going to be honest.
Being able to push him out, Hacker needs to do something a little bit more off of it. Because you are actually giving up a little bit of pressure around blue side jungle when you could be setting up or something. So for him to be top side, he would actually be extending some effort to take down that top lane outer tower. It seems like what he's going to be doing.
He's still sticking around.
All right, get out of here.
Here comes Yoon.
Evacuate.
Dirty platinum player. I'm surprised that Shout Out isn't promoted yet. He's right on the cusp. There you go.
Look. You know, the most surprising thing about this is that they actually start from bronze.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's a reason why the Western audience hasn't been able to have access to this vote, because Twitch chat is enough. Out of every team fight, you guys actually have the opportunity to vote. In fact, you have been doing so quite a bit. I know a few of you guys have been calling them bronze, so just if you see something happening and if you like it, call them diamond players. I think that would be excellent. That's still technically not good. They would feel insulted. They are challenger players. But there's been a few times where I've actually seen this voting system get to a challenger position.
Oh,
yeah, I think AJ was the first player I saw managed to get challenger.
That's mostly because he soaks up all the popularity on the and no one else has that.
It's like leave some fan votes for the rest of us. Jeez. But yeah, right now Sunny Gaming just again picking up the outer turrets. We've been standing for so long as we crest the 30-minute mark. And Sunny Gaming now with a hefty advantage, 6,000 gold over to them, and 2 very nice dragons for themselves as this game goes on.
Chocho, incredibly defensive. You see how poorly the last few fights have been for him? 1, 5, and 1. So I thought the BF sword, because he had the early crit item, would go into Infinity Edge. It goes into the Guardian Angel. So he actually wants to survive. And if Sunny Gaming start a fight, he wants them to be dissuaded by looking at him. They want him to say, okay, go for Corn, maybe lies a little bit before you touch me. He wants to dish out consistent damage and feel like that's not going to be possible if he goes into more offensive items.
Yeah, I think his idea is basically if you guys use your skills on me and I die the first time, I win. It's worth it. Because the majority of the damage is still going to come from Corn and XX. I think those are the big damage dealers that they're really looking forward to make things happen and make the picks kind of happen.
Bad news for him at this stage of the game is that this is when Sunning is the strongest. Double Storm, Sterix Gauge actually coming out of Angel and Hacker. For how much damage they're dealing, they're equally as tanky with double, stopwatch as well in their pocket. So they can start as many fights as they want as long as they have a few members in the area to rotate. And I think TOP has a lot of work to do to defend that.
I do like what Suning Gaming have been doing. They're basically willing to sit on their gold lead and just wait for the next Baron, wait for the next 5v5 team fight that TOP do have to come over in, and just look at the vision control. Where is Corn going to come in and try to find those unexpected picks onto the enemy team? It's going to be very difficult for him to find an angle.
And honestly, I just think he's in the wrong position. Ordinarily, teams that are on the back foot, but still have some split push opportunities, would send the LeBlanc in the bottom lane. I understand that would be a little bit too risky knowing that he only has Ignite and not the teleport. But for them to try and challenge Suning Gaming, they're so entrenched in this area, it seems like a lost cause.
Yeah, just sitting around the Baron right now. XX stepping up. Basically 2 lines being formed by both teams, but Suning Gaming definitely the stronger ones at this point in time. So get priority whether they want to, or wherever they want to push towards. Yeah, that's quite a bit of damage there from the old Kennen. What's he running right now? Yeah, he's got the Spellbinders and the Proto Belt with a Banshee's Veil and the Sleet Arch Rod. But I didn't expect it to be that much damage.
Yeah, that's XX running around with only the Merc Treads is definitely not enough. So I do like what TOP are doing. They're showing themselves in the mid lane, threatening to then push in from this jungle rivers section.
But that's the worry when you go up against the composition Suning Gaming has to offer, because you would expect more magic resist. 80 carries would go towards the Maw Malmortius, but knowing that there's a dive threat of the Aurelia, then you would just get... he was already getting dove by the Xin Zhao. The damage is heavily AD that he's been fearing. So there's just such a good mix of DPS from Suning Gaming that he goes towards the Guardian Angel because he has nothing else.
Oh well, Chocho did die from the cow engage, the cow dive
that's
last
true.
time.
Yeah.
It was just WQ with an ignite and some skill shots hit him.
Sad
and
days.
he was dead.
Cow does a lot of damage.
Both teams have been staring each other down for quite a while now. And he's been training wards back and forth. And how are you doing in terms of resources? I think I've seen like more control wards die in the last like 30 seconds than I have in the entire game. There's 1 control ward left from XX.
Yeah, just buffing up their stats, baby. That's how you do it.
There you go. That's ward win trading right there. It's like, all right, we can both make it to 1 and 2 by the end of this set. Let's
There's
go.
a lot of games left in the playoffs. And remember, if playoffs in season is cumulative, get it in now, you probably won't be able to get it in at all.
That's fair. Some teams can't even play anymore in the playoffs, so you can get ahead of them.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And at this point, just reasonably, with how Suning Gaming has been playing towards the top side fairly heavily, and there's a lot of bruisers on their end, even counting in the mage bruiser of Vladimir, they can start Baron whenever they want. And so much sustain on their core that when Vladimir and the Xin Zhao start on Baron, they're going to be fine. They're not going to worry about how long they stand on top of it, because TOP will be forced to walk up to them. And with how squishy their composition is, they can start the fight fairly easy. So Suning Gaming, right now just reclining in their chairs, this should be an easy finish for them. It's going to be on TOP to have to challenge Suning Gaming.
Yeah, I think Suning Gaming are a little bit apprehensive because their Baron take is actually incredibly slow. They have no percent health damage on them whatsoever, so they understand it's going to take a long time. So what Suning were looking for basically, were they were looking for picks. They didn't really want to start it because catching yourself in the Baron pit against a Morgana and a Varus ultimate might not be the best idea, but I also feel like they could be a little bit more aggressive, stack up, and instantly go for the engages when they do get that brush control.
It just depends how they set up for it, because you're right, they're looking for picks, and they want to be able to pull TOP towards the Baron buff. It's where the Kennen that's positioned. Kennen needs to be on a flank ward, or at least just needs to be behind him. But there's a lot of great defensive vision for TOP, obviously because they pushed up, but they need to be able to push up, set the defensive wards, so they have an idea where Suning Gaming is charging at them with.
Yeah, that's a great point. All the team fights that Suning Gaming have won so far have been from the surprise Kennen ultimate coming out of nowhere, coming out from behind the team composition, coming over a ward, and that really has been the main factor. TOP, their composition has a lot of mobility on XX and Korn, but they can't go in as long as the Maelstrom is up.
And the thing is, with Kennen, he's about to be on the cusp of Rabadons, actually. He's been sitting on a double needlessly large rod for a while now, so Suning Gaming, they still have big power spikes to go, but you're right, it's down to that positioning, and now TOP are just kind of rotating between those lanes. You've got the Urgot split push on the bottom side, facing down this Vladimir. We're just pretty much waiting until someone missteps and is the punish.
And once the Rabadon's death gap gets finished, this is when, you know, Kennen starts beefing up, feeling strong enough to find himself in a side lane. Hell yeah. He may be a Pikachu, but he's a buff Pikachu. And he can start smacking that tower. So actually you have a split push opportunity with the Kennen who has teleport here, where if the fights have been working out well, if you trust your team to place the great defensive, or at least I would say flank wards, so you can teleport, get that play going for you, put him in a side lane.
All right, you put Urgot and a Kennen in a pit. You lock him in Dragon pit. Who's going to come out victorious?
Urgot does come out.
What?
Of course he does.
I've seen enough Pokemon move used to know that Pikachu just deals with all these brutes.
Just uses lightning bolt and boom.
Yeah.
Look, that
game over.
That cartoon is a lie. If you send an electric mouse against a mass murdering machine like Urgot, like he's gonna skin him. Like it's gonna be a very graphical cartoon.
That's true. We can have this debate however long we want off the show. But we all know he stunted his own growth. He's actually like a 30-year-old mouse in what is a very cute body. He could have turned into a Raichu all he wanted, but we'll just finish it at that.
All right, but
still do it.
I will say the Urgot is having a much worse game. Look at him in front of Xiao. He sees Xiao, he turns his back and runs. Look, he might have a scary face, but his inside is very, it's soft, it's very
mushy.
It's mushy, yeah.
Well, you mean he's a cramp, right? And like he's got the exoskeleton, but inside.
It's just sad because when Urgot gets no jungle attention, he just doesn't do anything. He sees the Vladimir, and he's so afraid because he can't run away. There is no mobility on that champion whatsoever. He's just forced to just push till river and just go back. So if Suning can leverage Xiao L's positioning with the teleport, they could potentially find a big pickoff. I think they're playing it a little bit too slow, too safe.
Yeah, this is when you pick Urgots, you should pick free-range Urgots, ones that have a lot of room to run around. But this guy's trapped, he gets to bounce back and forth between his inner tower and river, and that's his cage, that's his life.
At this point, Suning Gaming, just knowing how slow they've been playing it, they could have actually started out towards the Baron if they wanted to take that risk for some time. Now it brings up the discussion around Elder Dragon, where they have triple dragons underneath them. Nothing concerted, nothing focused, but just amplifying the burn damage once they have it for themselves. So it's going to be on TOP to recognize that I think having two major objectives is going to benefit them.
Yep.
I think Suning Gaming, playing it slow enough, saying that we actually have another objective we can play to, actually makes it so the game is not as focused, where TOP can trade with the composition that they have. Oh, here we go, unless Fury just finds a pick on the Chocho.
Whoa! I mean, he's down for the count. He's about to come back up, mistimes the Shuriken there, but that was all of his HP.
All right, surely they will go in now.
Wait, he's got this. I believe in the Urgot.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
All right. I just got to give him something. He doesn't have his ultimate because he must have used it in the fight, but it didn't proc, so Xiao Al's feeling scot-free.
If I'm Lies, I flash over the wall, hit him with a knee gun, and then I just follow with the Fear Beyond Death. He tagged him as well.
Yeah, it's just he was so close to the if there was no blast cone, yes. Sadly enough, there was a blast cone just lying in wait.
I think that was the main reason as well.
So Lies doing really well, surprisingly. No, he must be really confident in the side lane, knowing that the massive magic resist that he's able to. He has two major magic resist items: Spectral's Cowl that should go into the Spirit Visage. He's feeling fairly confident. Later on in the team fight, sure, but just sitting in the side lane too.
Well, I don't know how he even got on the Vlad in the first place. He must have just ambushed him out of a brush, because there's no way at this stage in the game that Vladimir even lets him get close. Like, if you try to stain, he like rears back for like 10 hours, and he's like, sanguine pool. And that's like literally the whole matchup in the side lane.
And it's just one of those rare opportunities where he finally sees Hacker on the map. He understands that, hey, I get this chance for a 1v1, and sure, Urgot is great on a 1v1, but the reason we don't see him played is that without mobility, you actually are a very bad split pusher. Guys like Jax, guys like Tryndamere, who we typically associate with that, can just spin away, they can hop away, they have the mobility to evade things, and that's why Urgot is such an awkward champion. He forces you into win conditions you don't necessarily want to commit on.
Yeah, a little bit of a hop he's got, but not enough of a hop. I will say, though, that if you just find him, there's, let's say, we know that we've seen 2 to 3 people rotate topside for a top laner that's been splitting. They go for him this time around with how much he's been focused on the bottom lane. So TOP should be happy about that. They have a lot of damage based off the Blade of Rune King Jojo. That being said, they have to respond to this.
Suning Gaming, they're like, all right, this is the time. We're strong enough. We can beat him in the fight. Let's force him to come to us. Kennen is on his way back to base right now. He's looking for that TP ward, I guess. Lies, pushes up, he's in from the bottom lane. This is a tanky Urgot. He's got 6,000 HP with the shield. So he's definitely able to beat that front line. And Fury from the backside. There's a massive Maelstrom, completely obliterates the Morgana. And XS has to sprint away. Double kill instantly for the Kennen.
Sitting gaming in the back, just another day in the office. They knew that the kill coming in for Fury is just what he does in general. So Fury finding his way in the backstage access, TOP didn't see it coming.
He's a true ninja.
Still going on in him, but not going to find the kill. And I feel so bad for TOP because they swept everything. It was only one single ward around the Wolf Pit, which they missed, and that was their death kneel. Fury finally getting in the flank that you were talking about so far.
They were winding up for 15 minutes, and Suning Gaming find their time. It's like, all right, let's just end this. Put them out of their misery right here as they just wipe up the rest of them. Fear Beyond Death's going to get one right here, but he actually drops into his Guardian Angel. Let's just jump on to the next. This is too easy. Suning Gaming take game 2.
There we have it. I mean, Suning Gaming feeling very strong, very confident. The games are getting slower, actually, for Suning Gaming because they're just trying to play within their own element. I think what we saw from Game 2 that we didn't get to see too much from TOP in Game 1 was Corrin come out and style. It was just unfortunate that it just wasn't enough from this pure security that enemy team was providing.
Yeah, for me, TOP, they had a great early game, but they lacked a cohesive mid-game strategy. Where was the jungle going to go? How were they going to extend the game further? I felt like it was all the eggs into the Corrin basket, but not much thought being paid elsewhere. And you can see after the early game leads, it was all Suning.
I think the biggest one to take away, of course, you can see the damage that Kennen was actually outputting. I think Kennen was, I mean, we've been hyping him up for quite some time throughout the game. 2 major plays that we saw from him that was just Fury cleaning up around the Dragon area, able to get that 1 kill. And just the last fight, they just nailed it in the coffin. TOP already said that they had no way to really legibly come back into this game, but they were fighting.
They were indeed, but I feel bad for Corrin. You know, he made so much happen in the early game, but after a certain point, you can see that just massive sea of red, and it's just like, why I can't do anything? There's no one I can burst down on this team anymore, so my time is gone. I pass it off to the rest of my team. Come on, guys, let's make it happen, and I just couldn't do anything.
You know who I feel bad about?
Who?
I feel bad for Lies. Because, once again, I don't think he did any wrong. Urgot did no wrong. He was like, okay, let's pick Urgot once more. Oh, I'm not going to get any jungle attention? Okay. I guess I do nothing then.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, right? Because it seems like they've specifically brought in Lies to specifically play an Urgot. It must have been working out on screens, but they don't facilitate him at all. The second game, the focus actually went towards the mid lane, and great. I mean, definitely facilitate Corrin into the mid lane, but that's going to be a win condition. Draft something else top lane. Maybe even bring on Moyu, and he has different champions he can bring up there.
And to your point, ultimately, the decision that they made with their jungle mid lane has been to cater towards bot lane a little bit more. I know the shot calling strength is there from Cat, and knowing that you have a shoving lane is like we can get a bot lane tower a little easier than you can look for a top lane dive onto a Vladimir. But to that point, if that's the case, don't pick an Urgot. That's not the case anymore. Play towards a cleaner bottom lane strategy if that's what your comp is asking for. So you then have a tank in the top lane, something that is a lot more legible for team fights, because currently, throwing out the Urgot top lane, sure, he can do all right in his own. But what's happening is that he's just not finding any use later on in the game.
Yeah, but now he actually needs those resources, you know, but he's just not getting anything. Let's go ahead and take a look at a team fight replay here and see actually what broke down in these fights. And this was one that happened very early on, and it was just the story of the game. It was Fury in Fog of War jumping onto the whole team.
The point is he wasn't even in Fog of War. TOP actually did spot him out on the wards, but they still went for the catch anyway, and I feel like that's just the hubris. TOP rarely have the early game leads, and when they do have them, they're not really sure about how to execute on them, and I felt like they made multiple plays like that where they had the full information, still win in anyway, and then just got blasted by Fury to pieces.
Because ultimately it was all about timing. They felt like they can do it quickly, get the kill onto a level 5 Alistar, but they didn't expect like that much burst coming through.
Yeah.
Double knock-up, keeping down the Varus for that long, that was really lights out for Varus from that point forward, because Varus could never really join a team fight with how much zoning that was there. You suddenly have to respect the Kennen that much more. 1 in 5 for a reason. I think that if Varus wants to be able to get something going, if Chocho wants to have a better team fight, he has to be a little bit more in command of which fights they choose.
In terms of the ban picks, I actually feel like the Varus was an afterthought because they selected the Urgot in the third row on the blue side, and then they were in the second phases of the draft, and they were like, wait a minute, we have Varus? Okay, let's pick Varus here. But I don't think he actually fit with what the composition wanted to do. They wanted to play top mid. They wanted more flexibility on AD carry position so no one would have to babysit him. But they went for the Varus instead, and I just felt like that was the point where it stretched the game plan way too far and they couldn't converge on it anymore.
That's possible. I think that Varus is fairly flexible in the sense that you could play towards the fact that he has a CC. You can play a defensive Varus, and Chocho has been throughout his career on TOP/Dan Gaming has been, I don't need to do anything early on, and we can play towards like a mid lane or top lane, play towards a jungle in certain situations. I'm surprised that they didn't try for that this time around, playing towards him rather than trying to split up the map a little bit more and play toward your stronger side lanes so Kennen doesn't have a team fight access. Obviously, it's easier to say that after the fact, but that's something they must have heard from BSYY coming into this game.
And it was really about the Kennen. In fact, Fury will be taking our MVP of this second game. So congratulations to him, but he was a major part of all of those team fights. I mean, the Kennen was a great addition to the lineup, and also going AP out of lane was just inspired.
And Fury is proving that mages are still well and alive. We just talked about 8.16, 3 out of 84 picks. He's already shown 2 mages here so far, and he's willing to go with it. And I think a big part is that he understands the item spiking. He does get the Hex Tech, the GLP to go forward, and that is a lot cheaper than even the Storm Razors or the Blade of the Ruined King, so you still get your level 6 kill advantage over on the mages versus the marksman.
Yeah, we saw a lot of proto belts from them, and we also saw Vladimir being able to pick it up. So the AP, and this is what's really important from Suning Gaming, the strategy that they've shown 2 games in a row is that they're pretty flexible in being able to play AP's bot and top lane simply because the Aurelia has been getting pumped out from the mid lane.
Yeah.
So let's say going into the next game, if Aurelia gets banned, I expect much more standard composition coming out of Suning Gaming. They're not a team willing to play towards the Talon. But that being said, you still have to watch out for Angel's Yasuo.
Yeah, you absolutely do. That is the one thing they have in their back pocket. We're going to take a short break. We'll see if TOP can bounce back right after this.
苏宁队员不会为遗憾找借口，必须变强，必须进步。